Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex Pavlak. I am the host of the channel. I am a Cisco solutions engineer, and as you can see, today I have a guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Alex.
Gladly. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Elawadi. I'm also a solutions engineer here at Cisco and also a former Palo SE as well. And we've got something exciting for you guys. Can't wait to get into it. We're going to form a tunnel between a Meraki MX appliance and a Palo Alto Firewall. Super excited to get into it with you, Alex.
Yeah, so we wanted to go into this because we do see this a lot. We have a lot of customers who, not every customer is going to be one vendor. So we do have a lot of mixed environments. And as we know as network engineers, IPSec tunnels can sometimes be difficult. I have a previous video of where with one of my former colleagues, Marcellus, we did the Fortinet video forming an IPSec tunnel between a Meraki MX and a Fortinet device. So I'm basically redoing that video, but now doing with the Palo side. So we're going to go through the configurations on the MX side. We'll then pass it over to Alex, who will show us the configurations on the PAN side. And then we'll go into verifying if the tunnel's up or down. And then the final part of this video, we will go into troubleshooting. So troubleshooting from the Meraki side, troubleshooting from the Palo side. It won't be, as we know, like it's not one size fits all for troubleshooting. So we'll go through how we would attack troubleshooting an IPsec tunnel not coming up or not forming. In addition to that, there's two configuration options for tunnels. We can go through and configure a tunnel in policy-based mode or route-based mode. We'll start off doing policy-based mode. It's simpler on the Cisco side. On the MX side, it's simpler. So we'll go through initially doing a policy-based, and then we can go into route-based after that. That's a new feature on the MX side. It was just policy-based before. With the newer updated firmware, we can now do route-based. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, that was an update on the MX on 26 firmware?
I want to say
Or 19?
some point between 19 and 26. 26, I know we released source-based exclusion rules, which was really cool. Highly recommend anybody trying it out if they have any full tunnels they want to create based on this type of deployment to exclude some of their VLAN subnets. But going back to what we were saying, yeah, it came out on version 19. It's really exciting. It uses BGP peering and can redistribute anything on the opposite side of the tunnel to the rest of your auto VPN fabric.
And then to go into, so 19 firmware is the stable release right now, and then in release candidate and beta, there's 26 firmware for the MX as of the recording of this video, which is April 27th, 2026.
Today.
That is today's date. The other thing, just to highlight really quickly, is the diagram. So sort of like high-level network diagram, how the traffic is actually flowing between these, because we are going to be doing this in real time. We've not tried to set this up before, but this will be forming from my MX behind me on my rack there. You can see that's the top device, so that's my MX. That MX is behind an ISP router. So that device is in route mode, and it is doing some basic firewalling. So it goes top of my lab is my MX plugged into the ISP router. I have configured, because it is in route mode and it's doing firewall, I have configured some port forwarding rules for IPsec ports. And that's it from my side. Alex, you want to go into how your side is?
So my side, I have a VM series from Palo Alto. So the VM form factor sitting on a Proxmox server with two virtual interfaces. one of these virtual interfaces are facing my ISP modem, which also is unfortunately in NATed mode instead of pass through, so I'm having to rely on I'm having to rely on port forwarding rules and initiating the traffic from my side, which thankfully I will be enabling aggressive mode to make that happen. And then I also have my LAN facing port as a virtual interface as well on this VM in my Proxmox server.
Okay. Awesome. So I think we can go right into the configurations then. So I'll start going through the configurations on my side. So let me just share my screen in this WebEx so Alex can see what I'm doing. Okay, so in your Meraki dashboard, let's go over to Security and SD-WAN, Site-to-Site VPN. My MX is in hub mode. You can do it as a hub or spoke. It just totally depends on how your network is configured. My lab is set up for a hub mode. The next part is for this policy-based mode, we're going to need to select the VLANs that are configured on your MX. Choose which one of those that we're going to actually advertise over this tunnel. To keep things simple, I'm just advertising my one VLAN, which is my wired data VLAN right here. So we flip that to enabled. We're going to leave all these other ones disabled. And then if we keep scrolling down here under organization-wide settings, IPSec VPN peers, this is where we're going to start configuring the other side of the tunnel. Just as a note, this isn't the non-Meraki peers for VPN are organization-wide settings. So if you configure this, it would advertise on all MXs. All of your MXs in your organization will try to form that tunnel. So you can scope that down to specific MXs based on network tagging. So if you come into organization overview, this is where you can configure network tags. So you can see I have a couple different tags configured here already. If you check off a network, click tag, and then type in a name here and click add. That is how you can configure a network to have a tag associated to it. So I'm going to be using this network here and this tag. So let's come back to configuration. You're going to click add up here. I will name this Alex Pan. We're going to be doing an IKE v2 tunnel. And let me start getting the configurations that Alex sent me. And I will input those on my side here. So the public IP of his PAN device, we'll type that in here. Next, for now, we're going to leave local ID and remote ID not filled out. These are technically optional. I have a feeling because we're both behind NAT devices, we will need to put in the remote ID. But for now, I'm going to leave that blank. My shared secret, I will do Meraki123, keeping that very simple. And then for the routing here, we're going to, like I said, we're going to be starting off doing a policy-based tunnel. So policy-based is going to be static routing. And then we just need to configure the private subnets that are going to be advertised from the PAN side over to the MX. So that is going to be 10.5.3.0/24. So input that in there. And again, the private subnet that you're configuring here is the subnet that's on the PAN side. We configured the MX side, what we're going to be advertising over to Alex's Palo. We configured that here. Availability, this is where you're going to scope it by network tag to what MXs you actually want to try to form this tunnel. So select your tag there. We do have the capability now, this is a newer feature, to do multi-uplink IPSec VPN. So basically if your MX has multi-WANs connected to it, so you have a WAN 1, a WAN 2, we can form that tunnel on both uplinks at the same time. Before it was just an active standby. So now we can do that on both uplinks. We'll leave that as disabled. We're not going to do any tunnel monitoring, but we do have the ability to configure health checks on that tunnel. We'll leave that as blank, just keeping it very simple for this demonstration. And then this is where we're going to get into our phase 1, phase 2 configurations. So we have a bunch of, in the Meraki dashboard, there's a bunch of preset policies. So these are like the most typical IPSec configurations for these other vendors. So if it's listed there, you can try to use them. We try to make that as simple as possible on the dashboard side. You can obviously see there's no pan there, so we're going to do custom, and we're going to fill in all of our phase 1 and phase 2 configurations. So these were configs that Alex sent over to me. So you'll need to know what the pan is obviously going to be configured for, and we fill in those values here. Alex hasn't set up the tunnel yet, but we've decided what we're going to use for these. So we're going to do encryption, AES 256, authentication is SHA 256. Pseudo random function, we're going to default to authentication. The Diffie Hellman group we're using is 14, and the lifetime is 28800. And now we move down into phase 2 configurations. Again, AES 256. Authentication is SHA 256. We're not doing perfect forward secrecy. And then the same values for lifetime. And then just click add. And then make sure you save. Changes saved. The next thing that you need to do is go to the appliance status because, as you know, we made the configurations in dashboard and they're saved. The device needs to now fetch that configuration that we just made. So under the config here, you can see out of date, and we changed it 20 seconds ago and counting. So we need to wait until this device actually fetches that configuration. Meraki devices usually takes like a minute or two to go ahead and fetch a configuration change from dashboard, but you can just keep refreshing that page until the config says up to date. As you can see now, says up to date, and the initial configuration is done from the MX side. So I'm going to pass it over now to Alex, where he's going to walk through the configurations for the pan side.
Awesome. I'm going to take this screen real quick. Let me know if you can see this.
Yep, good to go.
Awesome. So first things first, guys, we're going to create a new tunnel interface. Tunnel interface is what we're going to need to do to bind to the IPsec tunnel. If you're also doing GRE, it would be the same concept, or for Global Protect as well. So let's add this here. I'm going to call it number 2. Make sure you bind your logical router or your virtual router. I am using the advanced routing engine, so it's called the logical router, but it would be the same exact concept. Don't also forget your security zone. I created one called Half Trust just because this tunnel's going to an external network. So I'm binding this here as well. For IP, at some point we're going to be doing the route base, so I'm just going to be adding this here. Yeah, actually. Perfect. So it's just going to be a point-to-point when we add that later. Well, for now, we just created our logical tunnel interface that we're going to use. Next, we're going to make sure we have our phase 1 and phase 2 settings already provisioned. Right now, I'm in IPsec crypto, which is also our phase 2 settings. So within our phase 2, I have AES 256 CBC and GCM already here. No perfect forward secrecy for the Diffie Hellman group, and SHA 256 or authentication. Also make sure you specify ESP. For phase 1, it's going to almost be the exact same Diffie Hellman group 14 instead of perfect forward secrecy. 256 SHA for authentication. We're going to do AES 256 CBC for encryption, and a key lifetime of 28,800 seconds. So now we're going to create our IKE gateway. So this IKE gateway, I'm going to make sure is set to IKE v2. I'm just going to name it Pavlok. And I am going to set the gateway on my primary WAN, which is going to be Ethernet 1/1. You don't need to specify a local IP address. It's just going to inherit whatever you have there. And for the peer, if you sent me something, Alex, I'm just going to look at that really quick. One moment. There we go. Meraki 123. Meraki 123. And this is what we were talking about early on, where we said you can set a remote ID or a peer ID is what we call it on the PAN side. Local ID is often also used if you're behind a NAT. You want something to differentiate your device if you have multiple that are either facing the internet or also participating in IPSec. So I am going to set that there. And oh, under our advanced options, I forgot to actually bind our phase 1 settings. And we're also going to enable NAT traversal as well. If you are using your Palo Alto as kind of a hub and you want to do route based, you can set it to passive mode if you'd like, so that it doesn't initiate the connections, but will instead respond to any initiator requests coming its way. Another neat thing with IKE v2 on PAN-OS is that it can be used to do its own form of tracking across the tunnel using the virtual IPs. And that way it tracks a tunnel's availability and can remove a route associated with the tunnel interface in accordance with the liveness check. So highly recommend using IKE v2.
Alex, just really quickly, can you go back through like the phase 1 configurations that you did?
Yes.
The screen, I just needed to blow it up on WebEx. It was the screen was hard to see, so just go through those again really quickly.
Sure. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm going through it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me know when I'm good.
Yep. Good to go.
Awesome. So we're going to navigate down to our IKE crypto settings under network profiles. Here I have created a phase 1 object or profile. I'm using the Diffie-Hellman group 14, AES 256 CBC for encryption. I'm using SHA 256 for authentication. And for my key lifetime, I have about 28,800 seconds. Nothing more there. Yeah, keep it simple. And then for my phase 2 settings, this is where I specify under IPSec crypto. So I'm going to go under here to phase 2. I have specified CBC for 256 and GCM. I have no PFS set here. My lifetime is set to the same amount, 28,800 seconds, as it's oftentimes the default within Meraki. So just keeping it simple. Authentication, I have SHA 256. And now all that's left is for us to go and bind to our IKE gateway, or make sure that it's bound, our IKE profile for phase 1. Make sure we're set to net traversal if we're behind a net device. And then what we're going to do is go to our IPsec tunnels and we're going to bind everything together. So I have tunnel 2 set here. I'm going to call this padlock IPSec. I'm going to select our gateway that we created, padlock. Crypto profile. This is going to be the phase 2 settings that we created. And you don't need to mess around with any of this if you want to transport multicast, which chances are you're not going to be doing over Meraki. You can mess with that there. I'm just going to hit OK. And it's going to start out as red for down, but that's because we have not committed or actually created the routes for the traffic to even initiate. So let me make sure I go here. And let me get that specific subnet. Tunnel 2. Cool. So 10.21.21.0/24. The interface, we're going to specify tunnel 2. Don't worry about the next hop. You can set an admin distance, but we're not going to do that. Just going to leave it blank because this is very specific. And I am going to first, before hitting commit, make sure we have our policy inside to have trust. I want any traffic initiated from the other side to also be able to come through. Best practice is to have an individual rule for each direction for logging purposes. For the sake of this tutorial, we're just doing this to make sure that this is going to be able to work. By default, it's going to be set to application default, but I like to do any just so that there are never any surprises. I have my settings set to allow log forwarding just so I can track what's going on. I'm gonna mark there and hit OK. Now I'm gonna hit commit, which is gonna take about a minute or two, famously.
While that is committing, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video now because we actually need to go and configure our ISP routers to do port forwarding to actually allow these ports in. So I'm not going to share my screen while I'm doing that because every ISP router is going to be different. But if you are behind the NAT device, you need to make sure that they are doing port forwarding and forwarding ports 500 and 4500 as the default IPsec ports. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video here. We're going to go and configure those on our routers, and then we will come back. Okay, so we both configured our UDP ports 4500 and 500 to forward to our devices on our ISP routers. So we went ahead and did that configuration. So now, let me share my screen here. To verify on my side, just show that for Alex so he can see. To verify if a tunnel's up or down on the Meraki side, we're going to go to Security and SD-WAN, VPN status. And you can see one site-to-site peer. This is going to be for Meraki to Meraki devices. When we go to IP3, the IPsec peers here, this is for the non-Meraki tunnels. And the quick check here is if it's a red light, tunnel's not up. If it's green, just a little tidbit. This is checking for just phase 1. So if phase 1 comes up, but phase 2 does not come up, and the tunnel's not established at that point, phase 1 and phase 2 need to pass. This green dot here is going to check for phase 1. So this can be a little bit misleading. You'll definitely want to verify with actual traffic, do like a basic ping or something to verify that the tunnel's actually up. But first check is going to be if this is green or red. Green is going to verify if phase 1 is up or down. You can see obviously that phase 1 is not up yet. So we're going to go through and do some basic troubleshooting. Like, let's first see if we're actually getting packets yet. Another just little like tidbit is the Meraki MXs are passive IPSec peers, which means that we're not going to actively try to form a tunnel unless we actually have interesting traffic that would need to go over that tunnel, because then at that point, I mean, the MX just looks at it as like unnecessary management traffic to form that tunnel when we don't even have any traffic that's going to route over it. So we basically act passive until we get that interesting traffic. So I'm actually going to initiate a ping from my side. So let me just open up a terminal shell here, and I will do a ping to, do you have any like live IPs on your side?
Yeah, try 10.5.3.100.
Okay. So those are obviously timing out. Wasn't expecting those to work yet. So now next step from my side, I'm going to just check the event log and see if we have any. I'm going to filter this for our IPSec VPN traffic. As you can see, we don't have any events yet in the event log. Alex, from your side, what are you going to be? How do you see if the tunnel's up or down? What is your like initial troubleshooting steps from here?
For the Palo side?
Yeah, you can go ahead and take the screen share too.
Yeah, sure. Give me one moment. So for one, anything that says VPN, I'm gonna have a filter for. I can just click that. So I don't want to see any system level things that have nothing to do with my IPSec VPN. If I have multiple VPNs and I want to specifically laser in on just one, I'm going to focus on the objects of said VPN. So here we see that we're starting as the initiator. By default, PAN-OS will work in aggressive mode to initiate the tunnel without interesting traffic. And currently, what's going on is we're seeing that authentication is failing. We're receiving a notification. And if the MX is not logging that there's a mismatch, it's highly likely whatever device is in front is assuming that the packets are meant for said device. So one way you can verify if you don't have this information at your fingertips is if you want to take a packet capture on the peer side, seeing if the device above is forwarding the traffic successfully to you, and if so, what type of messages are coming through. Is it going to be an initiator request? And if so, are we seeing a responder request going back out? Right now, we want to figure out what device is responding, if at all, and giving the notification that authentication's failing.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take back the screen share. I think that's a good next step, and that's probably what I would have done next too, is like before we go into checking logs, doing anything, let's just see if we're actually getting the traffic first. That's like going to be your first step. And a lot of times it's going to be because we're not even getting the traffic to start with. So that's going to be your first step. So let's verify that with a packet capture in dashboard. So if you come to network wide packet capture, let's change that to security appliances. That this is my appliance. We're going to be taking it on the internet interface. We're going to download that as a PCAP. You could do view output below. I don't like to view it that way. I like to look at it in actual Wireshark. So I'm going to download that as a PCAP. Duration 60 seconds is fine. I'm going to leave this as unfiltered traffic. So it's just going to capture everything. And then I will do my filters later in Wireshark. I just prefer to do it that way. I don't want to miss something because I put in a wrong filter or something along those lines. So I'm going to leave this blank. I'll do my filtering later. I'm just going to capture everything. I'm going to hit start capture. So this is going to start taking the capture on the MX internet interface. I'll also start pings again to see if we can send out, if we can see that the MX is even like sending out traffic. We'll be able to see if we're getting it from Alex's side because Pan is trying to actively form that. We saw that in the logs there. That should be good for now. So let me stop that. And that should be long enough, so I'll stop capture. Now, let me go ahead and open this up in Wireshark. Basically, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could filter it by UDP port 500. I'm going to just keep it simpler, and I'm just going to see if we're even getting traffic from his IP in general. So let me put in his IP address here. Your filter is ip.addr space equals space, and then type in the IP address. Okay, so we have some traffic. Let's see here. So the source is from his side. It is reaching my MX device. So my, as I said, I'm behind my ISP router. So I picked up the actual interface IP on my MX is this local IP 10.208.208.2. So we can see that we did receive traffic. We did respond back, and it looks like it failed the IK auth from there. Now, I have a feeling, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, because we're getting traffic and we are responding, so great. That's your first step. We did verify that. And now we're failing on phase 1, which means we're failing most likely on the authentication piece. When two IPsec devices are trying to form a tunnel, they need to verify if they're behind a NAT device or not. And part of the process on how they do that is if they, so they're going to take their, either their certificate, if they're doing cert-based authentication, or they're going to take their pre-shared key. They're going to combine that with their IP address on their interface, and they're going to put that into a hash, and then they're going to send that hash value to the other side. So the other side is also configured for that IP address and that pre-shared key. So they will do their own hash values of those, and they're going to compare. So as I said, I'm behind a NAT device. So my MX is hashing its local IP. So that 10.208.208.2, it's hashing that with the pre-shared key and sending it over. His PAN side is hashing my public IP address with the pre-shared key. So those hash values are not going to match. So when you're behind NAT devices, this is a key point. You need to fill in the remote ID on the MX side and on the PAN side. So that is my hunch as to why this is failing. So let's go back to the configuration and let's configure those values. So if we come in here, we click the 3 dots and edit primary peer and then remote ID. So this is where I need to configure Alex's local IP address on his interface. So that local IP on his side, which he just sent over to me, is 192.168.1.77. Let's go ahead and save that configuration. Save changes. Okay, and so that's now configured on my side. Let's go ahead and configure that on Alex's side. You can take over the screen share.
Awesome. So we're going to go back to the IKE gateway under your network profiles. And under here, where I have my local ID. I'm gonna make sure I have this set. And on the remote ID, what is your address on your WAN uplink?
Sorry, it's I sent you the wrong value there. It's 10.208.208.2.
Cool. Cool. All right, so let's commit this.
I'm gonna pause the video here while that's committing. Okay, looks like it committed successfully. That took about 2 minutes or so. And now from here, I would check on your side if you can see if the tunnel's coming up or down.
Awesome. So let's check. I've got the continuous ping on my side from my CML lab. I didn't mention this, but I set the default gateway on my Ubuntu machine here to one of the remote subnets this entire time. So that's already taken care of, but now we need to look and see, and we see that we've established our security association. So let's take a look at our tunnel, and it's green.
Awesome. So let me, I'll take over the screen again. Share. So now let's see if we can just do that simple ping test.
It's responding on my side.
So I am pinging your 10.5.3.100, and
Yes.
I am not getting replies back.
Let me run a packet capture, or I guess I can show that.
Let me, I'm gonna verify the VPN status on our side. So I have a warning next to ours. So that likely means phase. To be honest, I'm not sure what that means.
What warning?
If you can see on my.
Oh, that's the first time I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I've not seen that either.
Oh, that could be a server side thing. No, 102 is the work machine I have on my side.
I am pinging 10.5.3.100.
10.5.3.100. Let me see if that switch can ping you. And also try 10.5.3.102.
No response is coming back from that IP. So next step here, I'll start a packet capture, and then I'll start another capture, same exact thing that I did before, and then I'm gonna pass it to screen share to Alex, and then if you want to show how you would do a capture from your side as well. So let me go ahead and start that. Stop the screen share there. You can go ahead and share whenever.
Cool. Oh, I thought you were sharing. Awesome. I don't have Wireshark on this PC. Let me RDP into my other one.
While he's doing that, I did stop that capture. Let me open that up. Again, let me put in the same filter I did before. Okay, so you can see we have a lot more traffic here, which is a good sign. You can see the protocol here is going to be ESP, so that means that we have ESP is going to be encrypted traffic. So you can see that we went through at least phase 1 at this point. Most likely phase 2 is also passing.
Phase 2 is definitely up.
Yeah, if we have ESP traffic, phase 1 and phase 2 are up. So now we need to move on to the next step from here. So
I can share my screen now that I'm...
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Sorry, guys. I had to RDP into one of my machines that had Wireshark. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yep.
Cool. So before I had a filter for my... Now that I think about it, I only need one of these now. Let's create this. Stage 1. Receive. Then I'm also going to do for transmit. So these are going to be concatenated into one file. For everything that's being dropped, I'm going to have that into its own file. And it's capturing from the buffer that we've selected here. Actually, let me change this back. I realized that was from my primary tunnel. There we go. So
this capture, just so like I'm understanding, is it capturing traffic on like from the Meraki side? Is it capturing on a specific interface on your
yes.
Palo? Okay.
So under configure filtering, I have it set to the ingress interface of tunnel 2.
And then the source and destination is just there's 0, so I'm assuming just catching everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, opened it up twice.
And then basically there's receive and transmit is just bilateral then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can see the replies from your side. It's interesting that I don't see from the other side, possibly because they're on the same subnet. Do you want to try pinging 102? Or is that what you're pinging right now?
Let me see. I'm not actively pinging that. I can start those pings.
Okay.
Okay, that traffic is going. So basically from that capture, we saw that the tunnel's up, the traffic is flowing over the tunnel. It's getting my pings to that device, but we're not seeing replies coming back from the Palo side.
Yes. So
is it possible there's a firewall rule?
That's what I was checking. I know that there are definitely hits on the policy, but also I have the other buffer set for the stage of drop. So any firewall traffic or any traffic that there's no route to return to would go out through here. And I'm wondering if it could possibly have something to do with the lab environment in like asymmetric traffic flow.
Is there a local IP on your PAN that I can try pinging?
Hold on. Now that you bring that up, let me actually enable here. There's where's the management profile that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna have to create one and allow ping. Cool. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's asymmetric traffic flow because 10.5.3.100 doesn't have the same route table. But then again, we would have seen the requests come in through the tunnel. So the other possibility is that we might need to rebuild using using proxy IDs.
Do you want to try pinging my my IP on my MX? You can try to ping 10.21.21.1.
Yeah, so that one is going through.
So the pings from your side are going through, but they're not being responded, or
Yeah.
they are being responded to, but when traffic's initiated from my side, there is no response. Okay, yeah. So
Yes.
you can see there the pings are successful from initiated from his side.
Well, you know what's interesting? What's interesting is we don't see the requests here. We only see the replies, and it could have something to do with the filter. So let me go back. I'm wondering if for this one I might just need to remove the IP address from the tunnel.
Remove what IP from the tunnel?
The one that I placed as the tunnel IP. Why is this taking a bit? Here. Just need to make sure that this session's still active. This one right here. It's interesting that the .100 isn't responding. The .102 was not either.
Let me try it. Yeah, so I've been pinging 10.5.3.102.
Mm-hmm.
I can try the 100. Yeah, no response from the 100.
Try .16. Now that I enabled
Yeah,
ICMP on it.
still no traffic.
Ah. Okay, let's check on that commit. That commit was finished. The tunnel's still up. Do you want to bounce the tunnel?
Yeah, we can bounce it.
Yeah, let's try rebuilding it. So I guess we could avoid the commit time if you want to change the peer IP on the tunnel to something and then turn it back after it takes it.
Yeah, let me do that. By the way, just as a tidbit here too, if you any configuration change that you make on this VPN page, it will basically reboot the underlying system on the MX that uses VPN. So the system that executes VPN on the MX, any change on here will reset the whole thing. So if you make a change to auto VPN, it's going to reboot that whole thing. All tunnels will go down. So definitely make these changes under a maintenance window. But that's just a nice little tidbit to know. So I'll just change that to 20.206.
Yeah.
Let me save it. Save changes. Let's come back to the application status page. Let's make sure that it fetches that change.
I'm going to track from my side.
Okay, config up to date. Let's go back and change that back.
All right, can confirm the change took it down, which is what we want.
Okay, made that change back. Okay, config is up to date.
All right, try pinging .102 again. Oh, it's waiting for the tunnel to reestablish.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's up yet. Let me just try anyways. What IP was that?
.102.
Yep, no responses yet.
We'll just let that one do its thing.
I'll do another capture. Just make sure
And
the
it's up.
tunnel's forming.
The tunnel is back up. So let's try proxy IDs on the Palo side.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen. So over here.
Can you just go back to where you went into that config?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
So under our IPSec tunnel, where we're going to go next is under proxy IDs. This is very similar to crypto mapping by default. The traffic selectors that get sent over to the MX is going to be a catch-all. So it's going to be a 0.0.0.0/0 because the Palo is assuming whatever's on the opposite side is also a route-based VPN. So how do we present specific traffic selectors to the MX? Because what the MX is going to do is it's going to see what's on the other side as what is being requested on the other side is just a catch-all, and it's going to try and cooperate by sending as much of whatever it has. So, for instance, if I select 10.5.3.0, and then the opposite side, these are the traffic selectors that are going to be presented. Well, I guess it wants a proxy one. There we go. Yeah, so my theory is that what happened was there's an asymmetric security association that got built. All right, see, we might need to bounce the tunnel one more time.
Okay. Yep, ping's still failing. Let's bounce that. Okay, up to date. I'll go ahead and flip it back.
Yep, I see that it's down on my side.
Okay, changes are back. config is back up to date. Should see that tunnel come back up.
Let's try and get some pings out.
Tunnel is showing up on my side. Let me start pings again. Those are still failing. The next kind of troubleshooting that you can go through, if you wanted to on the MX side, because I am initiating the pings, you can just follow the hops basically. So you can do a packet capture on the LAN interface, make sure the MX is actually getting the traffic from my laptop. From there, if you select IPSec VPN, this is going to take a packet capture over the IPSec VPN tunnel interface, so we can see if the MX is sending the traffic over the tunnel. I'm not going to do those because we've already verified that he is getting the traffic on his side, so we know it's going over the tunnel. We know that he's getting it. We're just trying to figure out why the replies aren't coming back.
You're gonna hate me, Alex. I have a conflicting subnet on my side.
Oh, of course.
So I'm checking that switch I had you ping right now. I'm gonna do a show IP route. I would show this and share my screen, but I do not have an SSH client on this laptop. So 10.21.21.
I can change it to another subnet on my side.
Cool. We could do that.
Yeah, and actually now that this actually might be
I can also point a specific route because I have the route summarized on my side.
No, so now that I'm actually thinking about it too, this might actually be, I might have messed up on my side because my laptop is not on the wired network. That my laptop is actually on the my wireless VLAN. So let me go back to my VPN configs. So my enabled VLAN is the 10.21. I don't have my wireless VLAN enabled. So let me enable that. I'm going to switch. So on your side, do you want to do both of these VLANs or do you want to?
Yeah, let's do both.
Okay. So I need to flip this wireless data VLAN to enabled and then save changes.
I feel like I'm in Meraki support again. This is funny. Like the excitement from when things, like each step of the way.
Yep.
But yeah, so.
Do you want to share your screen? Are you
share
doing?
My screen?
Yeah.
All right. So at first, it's not, by the way, this isn't a requirement, guys. It's just more of a best practice when dealing with any kind of policy-based VPN on the MX and a foreign device. But to have the traffic selectors specifically presented to the MX or any type of device that's using a policy-based VPN is going to be incredibly useful because all that gets sent to the MX by default is just that catch-all route, like what we were talking about, or the catch-all, and the MX is going to try and accommodate for that to the best of its abilities or best effort. and it's going to instead share with the Palo each individual subnet that is enabled for VPN mode. So just part of this experiment, here's where I went into. I just went to IPSec tunnels. I went back to proxy IDs, and I specified the wireless network. Now I am going to hit commit. And this might require us to bounce the tunnel one more time. And while we're doing this, can you check something on the MX side? I want to see if you can ping. I want to see if you can ping 10.5.3.102 from the source VLAN of the original local subnet.
So from 10.21?
Yes.
Okay. So we can do that directly from, instead of me flipping over to wired network, we can actually just do that directly from the MX. We do ping from source VLAN 21, and what was that IP again?
5.3.102.
Yep.
Cool. So now I'm going to try on my side. We might need to bounce it for the wireless, but
Yeah. I'm just gonna bounce it.
cool.
I'm gonna pause the video here while that is fetched. Okay, so config is up to date. We bounced the tunnel, and let's just recap at this point. We know the tunnel's up. We know that it is bidirectional for some traffic. Not bidirectional, sorry. It is one-way directional for some traffic initiated from the Palo side. But when I have been pinging, not getting responses back. So the tunnel's up. There is traffic flowing over it. We just kind of need to nail down now our specific traffic. I did make that change to enable my wireless VPN. My wireless VLAN. And Alex made that change on his side. I am expecting this to work now. Let's verify the tunnel's up again. Let me refresh this page. Tunnel is showing down. But let me just try my pings anyways. Okay. Pings are not working. I'm pinging 10.5.3.102. Is that accurate? Should I?
Yes. Let me also check. So the tunnel shows is up on my side.
I'm starting to get responses now.
Awesome.
Maybe it just took a second for that tunnel to come back up.
Yeah. I'm also able to ping your wireless network. So we've got two subnets.
Awesome.
We were able to get together.
Cool. So just like a quick recap, just some basic troubleshooting from the Meraki side of things. I always kind of start with taking a PCAP on the internet interface. Like, or even before that, I guess, on the VPN status page, checking to see if we have a green light or red light. And then from there, if it is a red light, let's start seeing if we're actually getting traffic. So take a packet capture on the internet interface like we showed you. Filter that for the IP address of the peer. Let's see if we're actually getting the traffic to start with. And then based on what that PCAP shows us, we can base our troubleshooting on that. Like, are we passing phase one? Are we not even getting past phase 1? Are we getting past phase 1 but failing at phase 2? If we see ESP traffic, that means that the tunnel's up. That is encrypted traffic, so the tunnel is up at that point. Then we need to move on to the next phase, which is possibly mismatching VLANs, subnets. There's also, you can do some logs from the MX side. So if you go under network wide event log, filter that for the security appliance, and then in here, if we type IPSec, we can filter for IPSec traffic. I'm not sure why this is showing none, but we should have some
event type when you click X.
What was that?
Oh, I was just trying to find out what event type it was showing when we saw all the VPN stuff.
Yeah, this is, I'm not sure why this is showing none, but we do have logs. But in here, we can kind of get some idea on what's going on, but I like to go back to packet capture, so that's just how I work in my head. So I would start off with a PCAP. I just follow the wire, right? So like, is the AP getting the traffic? I probably wouldn't start at the AP. I'd probably start at the MX. On the Ethernet side, the LAN side, take a PCAP on that interface, move to the IPsec interface of the MX. Are we sending that traffic over the tunnel? Go over to the Palo side. Start with packet captures on the Palo side. Are we getting the traffic? Do we then see the Palo or MX forwarding the traffic down to the LAN side to the device? So just kind of like following the hops with PCAPs. That is definitely the way that I like to do things. I would say most network support engineers, at least, that's kind of our thinking. Let's just follow the path. Definitely some good insight on logs. Alex, any other additional insight from your side on the troubleshooting?
Troubleshooting, like what you said, it's working your way up the wire, taking a look at each segment at a time. You can work in reverse. You can work hop by hop. In our case, we had run-ins with duplicate subnets on my side that I didn't even know about, which, especially if you're trying to generate interesting traffic, can be problematic if it's already traffic or a subnet that exists locally. A hop by hop, you want to make sure what's responding to your device is actually your device, most importantly. And sometimes that means generating that interesting traffic to poke a hole into the NAT table of whatever NAT device is upstream. So if you are in a situation you can't do any port forwarding rules, that's always what I recommend. You can leverage the health checks on the MX to do it for you.
Good point.
If you don't have any traffic on a specific subnet that can initiate itself, that's always a nice workaround. Or what we're about to share with you next, the route-based mode, the ability to initiate that traffic using BGP peering to bring the tunnel up to begin with.
Yep.
Which is what we're going to cover next.
So we went through the configurations. We have policy based up. We've gone through some basic troubleshooting on the policy based side. So now let's move over to the route based side. Pretty much going to be really similar. There's a couple configuration changes, but for the most part, it's going to be the same. Troubleshooting is pretty much the same between both. But yeah, let's go into, I'll start sharing my screen and we'll go into route based from here. Okay, so now we're going to go through our configurations on the MX side for route-based VPN. So we're switching over from policy-based to route-based, just like Meraki does with everything else. It's super simple. First thing you're going to want to do is go to routing. and make sure that BGP is enabled and set your autonomous system number and save that configuration. We don't need to do anything under eBGP neighbors. The VPN setup will auto configure this for us, which is really nice. So all you need to do is enable that, set your AS number, and then let's go over to site-to-site VPN. And we'll edit these configurations over here. So come down to your peer, edit. And then this is the section right here where you change this from policy-based to route-based. So go ahead and click dynamic, and this is going to work through BGP. What is the network that we should configure?
So do we want to use the same tunnel? We could just edit the same tunnel.
Is this my local networks to advertise to you?
No, that's like the that's like your 818 West Division.
Oh, I see. Perfect. So select your dashboard network there, your IPSec subnet. That's going to be, that's accurate for your side? Still?
Oh, no. So this is going to be your virtual tunnel subnet. So we're going to create one that's going to span across my virtual tunnel interface and your virtual tunnel interface. Yeah, that exact one. So it's going to be a .0/30.
And do you want me to be .1 or .2?
You could be .1.
Okay.
Oh, you want to specify 0 instead of 1 in the subnet?
Thanks for catching that.
Yeah.
And then my BGP source IP.
Yeah, we're going to have that be .1.
And then you would be .2.
Yep.
And your remote AS 65505. We're not going to do any type of path prepending or attribute manipulations. We're just going to keep everything basic for now. You could input additional values here if you wanted to shape traffic in a specific way to take specific routes, advertise like with additional like AS pass prepended, which would route traffic over certain links in a certain way. We're not going to do that. We're just super simple. Everything's just going to be default values for our path attributes.
For redundancy, you might find yourself in a situation where it would become pretty useful to have the backup tunnel have an additional autonomous system number prepended.
Yep.
But yeah, the whole timer, mine is set to, not that I think it's super picky, but set it to 90 seconds.
Okay. Are you going to need this config for your side?
Nope.
Perfect. And everything else should stay the same. So let me go ahead and save that.
Cool.
And let's just wait till this fetches config. Okay, great. We're up to date. I will now pass the screen share over to you, Alex, and you can configure the Palo side.
Cool. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet. Okay, there we go.
Awesome. So while we were troubleshooting in the last step, we removed the IP, but we're going to want to place this back in. It's going to be .2. Excellent. Now we're going to go to our logical router. And vice versa, if you're using the virtual router, we're just going to want to make sure we have a peer group specific for this peer. So this is going to be peer 2. And we're going to use some of the defaults here. So unicast default filtering, we can do none if we want to make sure, or if we don't really care, we don't have to worry about like a default route being injected into the route table. I am going to add my filtering profile from my first peer, and I'm gonna go back and show how we can get that added or created. But first, we're gonna finish up this section here. Now is Pavlok. Our local interface is going to be tunnel 2. 29.29.29.1. Amazing. Now, to be efficient, I could have added the peer down here, but this is just for the sake of showing you guys how you're going to actually do this from a fresh config. Oh, BGP needs to be specified. Oh, okay. We missed the autonomous system number. There it is. Okay, so it's a good catch. So under filters, they're the ones that we're using. So for peer 1, we're denying anything that matches a default route. But for everything else, we're permitting. If you want to be a little more granular, we can create access lists here that we want to have as specific matches. If this is placed in a data center, it's going to be incredibly useful. Or if you want to use the Palo as some sort of hub between your MX sites, also very useful. As everything that's coming from the auto VPN fabric, the MX is going to advertise. So this is our way of practicing route table hygiene and ensuring what we specifically want to be advertised is entered to the fib table. Cool. So what else? We're talking about unicast here. This is going to be one of the default ones. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Then we have our BGP redistribution profile. I'm redistributing everything static and connected. So those are going to be some things that we're going to expect to appear in the route table of the MX. Specifically, the loopback that I have configured. I don't think we're using this one, so I'm going to go back. And I'm going to show you where to apply the redistribution profile that we had down there. Cool. So now that I have that set, let's hit commit. Cool. Nice. So while we want to check on the stats while it tries to finish its peering, I can monitor through here, and looks like it already established.
Awesome. Let me check from my side. So, like before, let's just go to the VPN status. Does look like tunnel's up. Let's check the routing table. This was another good troubleshooting step to see if we have routes in our route table from the other side. You can see we have our IPSec peer. We're learning 10.40 from you. What else do we have?
I think the test was for one of the other tunnels.
Yeah, that was for something else.
Okay. So that right there, the 33.35.33.35, that is my loopback interface on my Palo.
Perfect.
So BGP is properly advertising the way we expected based off my redistribution profile that I had set.
Is this pingable?
Let me throw on a management profile and have you ping that really quick.
I'm gonna pass that screen share to you.
Okay. And before I actually attach, well, I already did attach the management profile to allow ICMP. Another thing I want to do is we're actually not right here. I want to get rid of the proxy IDs. We no longer need these. And these are only meant when you're doing a policy-based VPN to present specific traffic selectors.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, did you resume?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the commit finished. Let's bounce the tunnels. Now that we removed those proxy IDs that we were previously using as part of our policy-based VPN, now that we have a full 0.0.0.0/0 traffic selector being presented to the MX and vice versa.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause this video while I go and bounce this tunnel. Okay, tunnel is bounced. Config is showing up to date. Let's verify our tunnel is back up. Does look good. Let me try to ping that host.
Yeah, let me give you the IP again. It was 33.35.33.35.
33.35.33.35.
Yep.
Looks good.
Nice.
Awesome. So as you can see, we got policy-based IPsec tunnel up between the two, pass traffic bidirectionally. Now we've configured the route-based VPN. We're passing traffic bidirectionally. So we just kind of want to recap a little bit, do a quick summary on the configurations. So Alex, if you want to start showing the Palo side configs and just kind of wrap, wrap everything in a nice little bow.
Awesome. So working our way down from the top down. We're going to first look at the interface that we created when we're in route mode. Obviously, we want to make sure we have an IP there. We need to make sure it's in that same /30 subnet that we've selected on the MX portion. And we want to make sure it's specified as the destination IP for BGP during that small subsection of the IPSec config on the MX side. Recapping, also the routing, because we're working our way down. Obviously, I want to make sure we have a peer group, or we can add it to a single group that we're already using. Yep. Specify your peer, autonomous system number. Then under IPsec tunnels, we have our tunnel interface that we've selected. We have the IKE gateway, which we're gonna take another look at. Our phase 2 settings, which I've named the profile phase 2. And going down to our IKE gateway, this is where we specify the interface that we're expecting our initiator requests to come in through, or vice versa. Specified IKE v2, our IP, pre-shared key, and local and peer IDs for when we're behind a NAT. Looking at our phase 2 settings, our IPsec crypto profile. This is what we have. AES 256 for encryption. SHA 256 for authentication. No PFS for Diffie-Hellman group. 28,800 seconds. IKE crypto. Group 14. AES 256. SHA 256. And the same lifetime, 28,800 seconds. And that's what we have on the Palo side.
Cool. I'll go through Meraki side super quick. So on the Meraki side, make sure BGP is enabled. For route-based, policy-based, we're just going to enable or disable our VLANs here. Set network tags for the availability of the tunnel. If you want to just go from certain MXs, if you can also just do all, and that would try to form to all MXs. Let's go into here. So you're just going to go through, set your peer, set the remote ID if you're behind a NAT. The local ID, it shows it as optional. This is basically, it'll default to the IP address of the interface, the internet interface on the MX. You can also just put in an IP if you want to, but typically just use the default. Put in the remote ID, shared secret for the tunnel, and then your BGP information, and then you can click save down at the bottom. Verifying tunnels up, VPN status page, taking PCAPs, and in general, troubleshooting, we typically follow the hops on the wire. So start pings. So another thing is starting pings from a computer behind the MX is like a best practice, because we won't try to form the tunnels unless there's interesting traffic that needs to go over it. So you can do pings from the MX, but sometimes management traffic acts differently than data plane traffic. So we always recommend to start pings from a device behind the MX. It could be a switch or another network device. If you can't like physically get to something there and start pings, you can do it from like a Meraki switch or a Meraki AP if you have those there. So starting that traffic, sending it over, taking PCAPs along the way, see if the MX is getting traffic, see if we're sending it over to the other side, see if the other side is then responding to traffic, and then PCAPs on the internet interface, making sure that the tunnels coming up, or at what phase is it failing, and then you can kind of isolate your troubleshooting from there. So with that, just to recap in the video, we went over the configurations, we went through troubleshooting. Alex, do you have any final comments or anything you want to add?
Lab to your heart's content. Like, subscribe, comment, reach out to us on LinkedIn. Happy to respond to any other questions. That's all I have from my side, Alex.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, as always, post questions, comments, any of your own personal experiences in the comments. We will try to answer questions if you have some. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, and as always, happy networking. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.